Welcome to my channel at Palm Readings, YouTube at Palm Readings. I'm on Twitter at Destiny Palmist and Instagram destiny.palmist. You can follow me on all the channels there. And today I'm going to be talking about money issues. If you have money issues, what might be the signs on your hands if you have financial difficulties? That can show up on your palm lines, mainly if it's long-term problem. So what I normally do is I bring up a picture and I can draw on that, and I can talk about the lines by drawing on it. So I will first bring up my drawing pencil. But right now I'm going to be talking about how you can see potential financial problems. So first of all, if you're new to palmistry, I'll quickly draw some of the main lines. So the one that wraps around the thumb is the lifeline. The other main line on most hands is the headline. That helps us understand the person's mental side of things. And then there's the heart line, which helps us decide on the person's emotional side of things. So the other lines that are on the palm, on most palms, is the fate line, and that's not always a complete line like this. But when it's a complete line, that usually shows steady goals, steady motivations, steady income. And if there's also a success line, that shows that that income is likely to become successful. So that's the standard shape of the lines. They're not always going to look exactly like that. They're going to have variations. Sometimes this success line that rises to the ring finger, by the way, sometimes it starts from the actual fate line, and that's like a branch. So that shows potential good income or finances through a career. So I'll just try and rub those out, because I'm going to now explain what shows potential problems. It's a bit hard to rub it out. Okay, so what can show potential problems with money? Firstly, if there's sections missing. So say, for instance, the fate line is normally rising towards the middle finger, and then it suddenly stops, and there's nothing, there's a gap before it starts again. That can show a pause in the job, the career, a pause in motivation, a pause in life direction, just something that somebody might be deciding what they're doing with their path. So once the line continues, that shows that those motivations come back, and it shows that the direction in life is back. The finances could also be back. And the longer the line continues up towards the middle finger, the more likely they are on the same path. So say, for example, read my doctor's palm, and she started her career very young. She's studied to become a doctor early in life, and she's been a doctor all her life. And her career line started at like just below the middle of the palm and it rises all the way to the middle finger. And that shows that she's going to continue her path. And she has. So she's already, like, I think she's already close to 50 years old. So she's always, so far, continued her life. She has a few branch lines coming out of it, the career line, and which represents doing other things to do with being a doctor, which she's studying to like teach about things. So she's building on her career to improve it. So a break in this line can represent financial problems. Another quite clear sign is if there's an island on there, because that shows a time of uncertainty. Uncertainty can be anything in life. You can be uncertain about your career and money, but you can also be uncertain about other things. So we need to always look for other kind of clues on the hand. So if there's an island on the fate line, is there also marks on the lifeline? So say this island on this fate line would represent between the age of 25 and 28. So on the lifeline, it would correspond, so 40 would be about halfway. These are all very estimate. And so 30 would be about here. So the timing of the island on the fate line would show somewhere around this area. So there may also be an island on that area, or there may be other marks on there, such as stress lines rising up to it, or there could be actual little bar lines crossing, like those bar lines that I've drawn here. So looking at the two marks that are corresponding with each other's ages would represent that there is a problem that's affecting the person's life, stress or worry, and it's also potentially causing problems in financially. And the other mark that you might look for is general stress lines on the hands to find out if it's health related. If it's health related, you might have a mess of crisscross lines down here and or other areas of the palm. So the island, like I said, it's uncertainty. So most of the time it relates to finances, but not always. So the other mark that might show finance difficulties, I'll just rub that one out if I can. Here we are. Is the lines being very frazzled. I don't know if I can get my pencil any smaller. No, that's a highlighter. Okay, can't get my pencil. Or can I? Yeah, I did. Yay. Okay, so if the lines are very frazzled and it looks something like that, just a mess of lines, that can represent that things have either gotten worse recently or that they're finally starting to come together. So it depends on the person's situation. If the person's had previously good financial status and something went wrong, what happens is that the lines are getting rubbed out. So they're going through change. The lines do change on the palms. They don't always stay the same because the hands are really connected to your mind. When the hands are connected to your mind, that everything you think about, everything you do can reflect on the hands, because we talk with our hands. Our brain is constantly communicating with our hands. There's the most nerve connections to the mind and your hands than any other body part. So we can control our hands in an excellent way, but also our mind, the unknowing, what's happening in your head unknowingly, can be visible on the palm lines, especially stress. And most people, if they have problems in their life, they're stressing. So the stress signs can relate to any problem. So once a person is stressing, it shows up on the lines. And that's the sign of stress in financially, is if the lines have properly frazzled because they're trying to rub themselves out. That shows the person is going through change. It could be at the phase of change for the worse, or it could be at the phase of starting to pick up again. So that person should look at their lines on a regular basis and to see what's happening. Are the lines staying fuzzy like this, or are they slowly coming together? So imagine, I'll try and explain another theory. Okay, so imagine, your hairs. So if your hairs are all messy and none of it is sort of sticking together, and once you start getting your life together, they start to bind into a single line because everything's working together. So these fuzzy lines can, as you get your things sorted, they can start to bind together and become a line again. So if you see these signs, don't panic, because it can be temporary, and they do and can change at any time. Basically what would happen in this scenario, so as I was saying, these lines will slowly improve as finances improve. So they are signs of financial difficulties. So imagine then that, make my line big again. So if things start getting better, a section of it might stay fuzzy depending on your age. So say if you are 35, this below 35 will represent what's happened in the past. And 35 on the fate line starts approximately from the headline, which is this line here. So if the fate line then starts to heal, so to speak, and continue nicely, that shows that around 35 is when this financial situation was resolved. Sometimes it can change course as well. The line might not follow the same path, and it might suddenly shift over here. And sometimes it might even shift again, and it might shift over here. So even though it looks like separate lines, that's still the fate line. It's just showing that that person, during the course of their life, whether it's career or other goals, it can be any other life event, something has changed again. So they've made a conscious choice to change their career, for example, because these lines here are overlapping. The gap where there is no overlap, that can show a time of uncertainty. So if you have lines like this, the person might have consciously changed their career, made a plan, they might have studied or something, and then started a new career, which is represented by this second little fate line. And then that stops, and there's a pause, and then the fate line starts again. So that shows that there's another change. It's possible that at this age now, that person retired. Signs of lines up here doesn't mean that you work forever, but it can, especially if there's a matching line, that can represent retirement. And most of the time the actual career line will fade at retirement and the success line will become stronger. But not in every case, because many people continue to stay motivated, keep goals, even if they're not working in a job or following their career path, they're still doing something. Most people don't just go to a retirement home and just sit there and read books. Most people do things. They go traveling, they do gardening, they have goals. They still have goals they want to achieve. You don't just retire and do nothing. So when you have goals and want to continue doing things you love at retirement age, that's usually shown by these rising lines to the ring finger and the middle finger. So that is signs of financial difficulties and improvements. To check out my merch, I have my lucky symbol. It's 2 lotuses. Lotus is a lucky symbol. I have double lotus eye, a good luck symbol, red, white and black, or just red and white if it's on a black background. I have a merch shop. You can get clothes, shoes, homewares, all sorts of things there. Go and check that out. I've got the link in description. I've got the link to all my books as well if you're interested in Amazon, or go to my website. You can see the ebooks that I can sell through there as well. I have a couple of copies of my book in here. If requested, I will do a signed copy.